For this practice, you will need a little ball. So I have a tennis ball, which is quite hard, but you could have any of those kind of tune-up balls that might feel good for you. So we will leave the ball for now, and we'll just get a little bit of movement into the hips. So we'll keep the right shin forward, but we can shift the left leg behind us, so the left heel kind of behind the left hip. So you will sit mostly on your right sitting bone. Right shin is parallel to the front of the mat, to the side of the mat, but have a big space between your legs, so you're not having the heel towards you, you're having your heel towards your left knee. So even if you're sitting mostly on the right sitting bone, that's fine. You just have these little pelvic movements, shifting to the front of the sitting bones, towards the back of the sitting bones. You can round and arch the back. And if this is really challenging, sit on support. So have a big block or firm cushions of your blanket, firm blanket underneath you. And we'll just feel this little tilt of the pelvis, and the spine can move along with that, so you get a bit of fluidity through the spine. And as we do this movement, just feel the pelvis, the pelvic floor, the muscles around the pelvis, and how they move. From here, we'll come into a spinal twist. So we'll squeeze the left buttock, right hand by the right side. So you open up into the left hip, then you sit back down again, squeeze the left buttock, coming into the twist, and back again. So we'll do that a couple of times. You can do this in slow motion. And, I say squeeze the buttock, but allow that to happen with this movement. So you're not tensing up. And we'll let that left sitting bone drop down again. And then again, we come into this rounding and arching of the back, this little pelvic movement. And especially if you have a lot of tension here, just slow it down. Notice how you experience these sensations. And we come back into the twist. Right hand behind you, lifting the left hip, but with the engagement of the glute. Sitting back down, back into the twist, and sitting back down. Just one more time. And we'll do another round. So again, rocking forward and backwards on the pelvis. Allowing ease, openness, so we find softness. We might have a lot of tightness from sitting down, or the muscles might feel weak. So now you're just exploring, allowing the body to move. And let's come back into the twist again. Again, right hand by your right side, squeezing the left buttock, sitting back down. Lifting up. I love this twist because it's so open. You get that beautiful openness to the front of the left hip. And then sitting back down, we'll come into a cross-legged position. Just taking a moment here just to notice the left hip, the right hip, left sitting bone and right sitting bone. Imagining the circulation, the lymphatic circulation, the blood circulation, the health of our bones, our muscles, our fascia. And then we enjoy on the other side. So taking that right leg behind you, keeping that big big triangle between your legs. And then again, rocking forward and backwards. Again, the movement is really just the pelvis, and then the rest of the spine can follow, which makes it quite nice. Feeling how the pelvis moves over your thighs, over the head of the femur, the circulation here, the muscles, the joints, the ligaments. Let's take this into the twist again. So the left hand comes to behind you, and then you can lift through the right buttock, sit back down, lift through the right buttock, opening into the front body, and sit back down. And coming into the twist just in your own rhythm. It might just be you take it really slow to feel that spiraling movement. Just like our bones spiral, our body spiral, our DNA spirals. Next time you sit down, again you can stay seated and then rocking forward and backwards again. And once again we come into the twist. So taking the left arm behind you and then release. Just your own rhythm. Even the bones of the pelvis, the sacrum, sacroiliac joints, the tailbone gets space, gets movements of the joints, stability and mobility. Let's just do one more round. The next time you sit down, we'll come into the little rocking again. And if you notice one side feels very different from the other, that's very common. And so you might want to spend a bit more time on one side, the one side that feels more restricted. And then the twist again. Left hand behind you. And again, we can sit all the way back down in a cross-legged seat. And so whatever leg you usually take forward, take that behind the opposite leg. So just so you feel more even again. And so this is really nice just to create a bit of flow and mobility through the pelvis, the tailbone, the pelvic floor. So the next part we'll do is a little bit of a self-massage, and this is where we'll use a tennis ball. So as we use a tennis ball, we will move around the sitting bone, so be really, really mindful of the area around there. So the glutes are obviously really big, but as soon as you go further in, it is very sensitive. So you kind of want to stay around the sitting bone and down your glute, your buttock, your thigh. So being mindful, you can have the ball on the floor. And I'll start on the right side. So I'll take the ball just near the sitting bone, but kind of towards the outside. And then I simply just move. And right now I'm on my left buttock, so there's not so much pressure. But I could also lift up the left buttock, and then there's a bit more mobility. So I'll basically massage the buttock, the glute, just around the sitting bone, but not to the, you could move a little bit to the inside, but really be mindful. And certainly for a lot of us, just up towards the top of the glutes can be very sensitive. So that might feel really good. It might also just feel really intense if you're not used to massage. And you could come to a little bit further forward as well and just feel the movement towards the front of the sitting bone towards the hamstrings, the back of the legs. So this is really just kind of trial and error where it feels good for you. So now I'm just literally circling around the sitting bone. And you might find a spot that's like a little pressure point, and you might just simply want to stay there and just breathe. So this is where you don't want to tense up away from the ball, but where you can release into it. We will do this lying down as well. So we can move on to the other side. So again, find your sitting bone, the big muscle of the buttocks. You can start with, because they might be super sensitive, but they're big muscles. They can take a lot. And again, if this is too sensitive, you can kind of lean a little bit onto the right buttock. Maybe you simply move your leg rather than kind of rolling around. And you could come to the front of the sitting bone, circling all the way around the sitting bone, obviously being really mindful where you massage and where you put the pressure. And you could even simply sit on it. So again, I'm just sitting to the outside of the sitting bone, but allowing the breath. So I'm just on the left sitting bone, just to the outside. If you have a little spot that just feels it needs a bit of awareness, you can sit there, breathe into it. Imagining space in that hip, all around the hip joint. And then to the other side. And then again, obviously here again, you'll sit more to one side, which is fine. There are many reasons why this area can be tight, just from sitting or from giving birth or from exercise. You know, most of us are right-sided or left-sided, so I know I'm right-legged. So there's a difference between right and left. How I cross my leg is a habit as well. Now we'll lie down. So again, you'll have the ball, we'll have the knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Now you could work kind of sitting bone between sitting bone and tailbone as well. So if you know you have pain around the tailbone, this could also be a really good movement. So we can finger where the sitting bone is, just around the sacrum. Maybe we'll actually just start just at the sacrum, so just towards the top of the buttock, and then just roll from side to side. So you're going to have your feet probably wide. And give yourself a little massage here. And you're letting the body rest onto the ball. And maybe you find a little spot that just feels really good. And so now both knees are bent, feet on the floor, and I'm just resting my weight into the ball. And it's kind of towards my buttock. Then I can drop my right knee towards the floor and then up again. And towards the floor and up again. So just through this, I give myself a little bit of a massage. And then shifting to the other side. So again, kind of to the inside bit of the sitting bone, but towards the sacrum. And again, I'll just move my left leg a bit. And this side feels very different. So I'm just going to let my left knee drop down for a few moments and just breathe here. So as soon as you notice you hold your breath or you kind of lift off the ball, then see if you can release a bit deeper. Or if you can adjust so you can relax, because the whole point of this movement with the ball is that we can relax our muscles. And then when you feel you had enough, you can take the ball to the side. Maybe just bring the knees towards the chest. Take your knees apart and then away from you and towards each other and towards you. So circling. Again, we're doing like a little massage of the lower back. You can circle in the opposite direction. So the knees move apart towards you, towards each other, away from you and away from each other. And then hugging the knees in towards your armpits so your knees are apart. We'll come into a happy baby pose. So you can lift your feet. Maybe you hold on to the back of your thighs, keeping the spine long. Or you can grab hold to the outside of your feet, allowing the knees to move towards your armpits. But if you notice the whole lower back or the buttock or the sacrum is off the floor, then ease off a little bit. So you want to lengthen the spine. And hug the knees towards you, releasing the heels. And so from here you could relax into Shavasana or any other resting pose. You could also just bring the feet to the floor and allow the knees to move away from each other, so opening into the front of the pelvis. And take a few breaths here, or stay as long as you like. And so I'm going to leave you to relax for as long as you like here. And so in your own time, you can continue your practice, your meditation, or the rest of the day.